in this week's Parsha Vayeira, and then I'm going to go into what I want to talk about, which has nothing to do with the Parsha, but just two insights in the Parsha. It says that when the angels came to Avram's house, they asked Avram, "Where is your wife?" Unusual question. You have guests coming to your house, and the guests are in your dining room around the table, and you're serving them. And the angels say to Avram, where's your wife? And the Torah says that Avram says, Hine ba'ohel. She's in the tent. Rashi says, tzniut, and then the angels, when they see Sarah, they say to Sarah, the Rashi says, that there are dots above the word when they talk to him to tell you that the angels ask Sarah, where's your husband? And she says, I think he's in the dining room serving guests. And Rashi takes a takeaway from here. He says that even though Avram and Sarah were married for 75 years, it's important to endear husbands to wives and wives to husbands. That means the angels were saying to Avram, where's your wife? And you know what he answered? She's in the kitchen. She's where she belongs. She's not out for a girls' night. She's not out with her friends. She knows I like company. She's in the kitchen preparing food. It was a way to point out to him that your wife is exactly where you would want her to be, and she's there because she wants to please you. And when he said to Sarah, and where's your husband? She answered, he's in the dining room and entertaining guests, because I know that's important for him. And even after 75 years of marriage, Avram and Sarah knew what was important to the other and did what was necessary. One of the famous Rosh Hashivas that was very concerned about his wife was Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. Story goes he was at a wedding in Muncie, and one of his students was going to drive him and his wife home, and Rabbi Yaakov opened the back seat door and got into the back seat. And the student said, Rebbe, you're not going to sit in the back seat. You'll sit in the front, shotgun. You'll sit up front where there's much more room. He says, of course I will. I know that. But my wife is going to sit in the back seat. And I want to see how comfortable it is. Because if it's not comfortable, I'll take a different ride home. So here's a Rosh Hashiva. He's close to 90 years old. He's climbing into the back seat of a car because that's where his wife is going to sit. They bring down another story with him, fascinating story, that a student came by and said to the Rosh Hashiva, to Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, I have a great Devar Torah to share with you. And he said, sure, I'd love to hear it. But, my wife made some cake. Here, have a piece of cake. And the student says, I just finished eating. I'm not hungry. It's okay. I don't need the cake. He says, oh, I just finished learning. I don't need the Devar Torah. He said, what? You don't want to hear my Devar Torah? He says, no. Just because I won't take your wife's cake? That's right. What's the connection? He says, you study Gemara, you have a Devar Torah. It pleases you. My wife doesn't study Gemara. She bakes. And her cake is her Devar Torah. And you just said, not interested. If you're not interested in my wife's Devar Torah, I'm not interested in yours. That's a Rosh Hashiva. That's a message, a lesson you can take away. I'll give you another one from Rav. Fascinating. When Sarah heard from the angels she was going to have a child, it says she laughed. What did she say? How am I going to have a child? My husband is an old man. Adoni Zakein. Hashem says to Avram, why is Sarah laughing? And why did she say that she is old? Now all the Perushim jump and say, Sarah didn't say she was old. Who did Sarah say was old? Avram. So the Gemara says Hashem changed it for Shalom Bayis. He didn't want to tell Avram, and your wife called you old. Changed it for Shalom Bayis. So I saw one of the Perushim give a very interesting question. He says, you don't think Avram knew that he was old? Avram was 100 years old. He looked in the mirror. He knew he was old. Trust me, when I'm 100 years old, and I'm nowhere near that, but when I am, I'll know I'm old also. Well, trust me, I'll know I'm old. So Rapam says a fascinating thing. He says, sometimes you can hear something from your brother, your sister, your best friend, but you can't hear it from your wife. The same message you're more than willing to accept from a friend, a rabbi, your brother, your sister. But you can't hear it from your wife. If I would have said to Avram, you're old, he would have said, yeah, I'm an old man. When he hears it from his wife, it rubs you the wrong way. Rapam says we must understand that there's many things people can tell you that spouses just can't say because it's the nature of the relationship of a husband and wife. So, Parashat Vayeira, some fascinating insights in how couples interrelate and get along. Okay, question for you tonight. What is a sofer? Scribe. A scribe writes what? What are some of the things a sofer writes?
Torah.
A sefer Torah, mezuzos, tefillin. What else? A Megillat Esther, ketubot could be. It's not necessary, but gittin are written a little bit different. And I do a lot of gittin, and maybe one day we'll have a class just on divorce. I have gittin from all over the world. I have gittin from Europe, from Israel, from every city in America, and I can bring them in and show you how those cities are written and how the letters are written. Fascinating to see. It's a class all its own, besides all the court cases that I'm involved in. But let's talk about what a sofer needs in order to get the job done. Tell me, if you're a sofer, if you're sitting in the presence of a sofer, and I happen to be a sofer, what are some of the equipment that a sofer needs? Well, the first thing a sofer needs is a quill. Where does a quill come from? A bird, a goose. It's a pen. It's like the old European or the old American where they write with a quill. Now, to give you an idea, these are quills that have not been cut. And these are after you cut them. And it's wet ink. So you have to be very careful. When I write with a feather pen, I have to go with the grain. Because if I go against the grain, you know what will happen to the ink inside? It will spritz. And I'll have spots everywhere. So here, pass this around. These are quills. Give both sides. And here are some cut feathers. And Igor, you can pass this around as well.
This looks like Turkish.
What is this from?
Peacock.
A peacock. This is a peacock. Now, in order for the quill to be kosher, it has to be from a kosher bird. So when you do anything with mezuzahs, tefillin, sefer Torah, it has to be from a kosher bird. So in order to get the show on the road, you have to have a quill. The Hebrew word for quill is kulmus. That's what it's called. Then you need ink. And the ink has to be made from all kosher ingredients. You can't use any just ink. We make it ourselves with gallnut and different ingredients, and it has to be black. Sometimes in a Torah that ages, the ink turns brown, and then you have to recorrect it and rewrite it. Very hard to do. Because if I take a pen, a quill, and I put ink on it, and I go over a letter, the letter that's underneath starts crumbling. And then you have pieces of letter mixed with fresh letter. Nightmare. What else do you need? Cloth. So I'm going to pass around a piece of parchment, cloth. What I did on this cloth is I wrote the letters of the Aleph Beis on it. Some letters have crowns, some don't. But in order for a mezuzah or tefillin to be kosher, the letters have to be written very well and in a specific format. Beis Yosef, Ari, Svardi is a little bit different. But it cannot be written. Some mezuzahs are written like the guy was writing it on a bus, and those are not kosher.
No.
So pass those around. So now, let's take a moment. A sofer writes stam, Sefer Torah, Tefillin, mezuzahs. He uses parchment. He uses ink. He uses a feather pen. These things have to have lines on it. He has to write on material that has lines on it. Now, I'm going to show you something you've probably never seen. Make sure your hands are clean. This is mezuzah parchment that has not been written. I haven't written on it. I just got these. You'll see that it's smooth as silk. They're expensive parchment. And you'll see the lines on it. And when we write underneath the lines. Different sizes. Here.
So how do you make the line?
It's a machine that makes the line. They have a special machine that scratches the line. Pass that around. Right. That means what they do is they cut the parchment, they put it on those, and they go, and it makes the line. In a get, we use fish wire, and the lines are on the back, because halachically, nothing can be on the inside of a get except the words themselves. And the reason we have the lines is that you should write straight. If you don't write straight, it's not kosher. Now that's right. But it still needs lines. I'm not going to necessarily pass, but this is for tefillin. And these are parchments for tefillin, yet unwritten. It's for the hand and the head, which we're going to get to in a moment. But for now, pass that around. Let's make it that everyone have a chance. And then you're going to be in charge, Igor, of bringing everything back. I'm relying on you. Okay? I'm relying on you. Now, let me give you some trivia questions that you should know. You ready? A Sefer Torah has how many mitzvos? 613. How many sentences in a Sefer Torah? 5,888. How many words? 79,976. Got it. How many columns? If you have a Sefer Torah that you open up, how many columns in a Sefer Torah? 248. The same words in Shema and the same gematria as Avraham. 248. Do you know what every column in a Sefer Torah, the top letter is except 5? The letter Vav. The letter Vav. The Sefer Torah in Kabbalistic terms is called the Vav HaAmudim, the columns of Vavs. Bereshis starts with a Beis. Oz Yosher starts with an Aleph. Ma Tovu by Birkas Bilam starts with a Mem. But if you take out a Tikkun and you just thumb through it, every single page and column, the top letter in the corner, letter Vav. Now comes how many lines in each column of the Sefer Torah? 42. Vidibarta Bum. But now comes the hard part. How many letters in the Sefer Torah? And we only know the answer to this because Sefer Torahs are now, checked by computer. So when a sofer finishes a Sefer Torah, they run the parchment through a computer to make sure all the letters are there and nothing's missing. How many letters in the Sefer Torah?
600 something.
Very good. 600,000. The amount of people that left Egypt. That's right. So now we have a problem. And let me tell you what the problem is. Excellent answer. The Gemara says, how many letters in the Torah? 600,000. The amount of people that stood at Har Sinai. And there's a message there. The message is that if one letter is missing, the Sefer Torah is possible. Meaning, one Jew is missing. Doesn't say Orthodox, Conservative, Reform. Doesn't say. You're in a shul. You have a fight with one Jew because he's not religious enough for you. And the rabbi throws him out. If that was in the Sefer Torah, your Sefer Torah is possible. Now comes the problem. Ready? And you can collect everything when they're finished with it, okay? And you can pass it all back. Here's the problem that I want you guys to think about. According to the computer, they counted the letters in the Torah. 304,805. You know, they used to say that Kugel is the gematria of Shabbos, but it's not. It's nowhere near. So have another piece. Have another piece. You know, you eat enough pieces of Kugel, you'll get up to that number. How do we solve the problem? It's a serious problem. 600,000, and it's only half that. It's 300,000.
So aren't some letters like combination of three? For example, Aleph and
So you're not just the average Joe here. You're a Talmud Chacham, I see. No. You're a ringer in the crowd. I got that now. They asked you to come tonight because you're the ringer in the crowd. Listen to what this gentleman just said. What he said was that if you think about it, certain letters are a combination of two. Let me give you an example. The letter Mem. You know how you make the letter Mem? You first take the letter Chof, and you add what to it? A Vav. And you make the letter Vav, and you build a little bridge. Cute. So every Mem in the Torah counts double. By the way, you're going to learn another secret tonight. If a letter Mem is a combination of Chof and Vav, what's its gematria, numerical value?
26.
Hashem's name. Most of the Hebrew letters are 26. I'll give you another one. Aleph, you said, okay? The letter Aleph is a Vav, Yud Yud. That's 3. And Vav, 26. And the letter Aleph represents our Trinity. Now, you think that's Christianity. We have a Trinity also. The Yud is for Hashem, God. The Vav, I just told you every column starts with a Vav. Torah, Yisrael. Our Trinity is God, Torah, Israel. Symbolized by the letter Aleph. The letter Aleph counts 3. I'll give you another one. Take the letter Lamed. The letter Lamed starts off with a Chof to some degree, and on top of it, I put the letter Vav. Letter Lamed is 2 letters, Chof, Vav, 26 again. Aleph is 26, Mem is 26, Lamed is 26. Take a Dalet. If I take the letter Dalet, 1 letter. I put a Yud underneath it, now what does it become? Hey, if I change the Yud and I make it into a Vav, now what does it become? Tough. Okay? The letter Chet. The letter Chet is Zion, but in order to make it a Chet, I make a little bridge on top. I have here a chart of every letter in the Aleph base, and if you break it up into its parts, it tells you how many there now are in the Torah. You add it up, 602,173. Almost exactly what the Torah says was the count of the Jewish people when they left Egypt. 602,000. Exactly what you said.
So one question that I still always wonder how to reconcile is at the time of Sinai, obviously the Hebrew alphabet was different though.
Very
Right?
different.
So it was what was it? The Phoenician alphabet was shared at the same time, right? So how do we reconcile all that?
The answer is it eventually evolved to what we call today in Halacha Ksav Ashurit, Ezra HaSofer. And we go by what Ezra HaSofer codified as the letters. The Rambam takes it a step further. The Mishnah Berurah goes a step further. 3 opinions: Arizal, Beis Yosef, and Svardik. But it was the Rambam who he claims that he found one of the original Sefer Torahs of Ezra HaSofer. And he made a party, he made a feast when he found that Torah. So you're right, it evolved. If you look in some of the old dictionaries, they show some of the letters. I have a machzitz hashekel, the half shekel coin. The Hebrew lettering, can't even read it. Okay? Can't even read it. But what's fascinating is that the letters that we write and how we write it, and some letters have crowns to it. It spells the name Satan Az. The Satan is strong. And on those letters, we put 3 crowns on top called Tagin. Tagin means to protect you. Okay? So, for example, if I write the letter Gimel in the Torah, I put 3 crowns on top. And when I hand around certain things, we have these 3 crowns on top, certain letters, for Satan Az. Okay, let's take a moment here to go one step further. Let's talk about a mezuzah. How many lines is a mezuzah?
13?
22. Okay. And what is in a mezuzah? What is written in a mezuzah? Shema and V'hoyo im Shemoah. The 2 parshas of Shema. The parsha of Tzitzis is not there. Okay. What makes a mezuzah kosher versus not kosher? Well, let's see what makes it kosher. It has to be written on parchment, has to be handwritten by a sofer. The lettering has to be properly lettering. It can't be, detached. It has to be proper lettering. And it has to, be whole. It has to have a certain sense to it. It has to be done. The sofer has to write it, and he has to say before he writes it, he's writing it for the sake of a mezuzah. So I'll give you an example. Here is a mezuzah that is still in the original package from Israel, from the Rabbanut, that says it's kosher. It's not kosher. Who here reads Hebrew well enough to come up to read this and tell me why it's not kosher? You come on. Don't be afraid. Come on up. The price is right. There you go. Start reading it. Read it out loud. Read it for everybody to hear. There's no doubts in it, but you can do it. Read it. Start from the top. What? Read it again. V'ahavta. What? How do you?
Oh, there's no S.
Show it. Pass it around. It has the kosher packaging. It's a kosher mezuzah. It was sold in the store. Guy brought it to me, and he left out a word. He left out a word. Here, these mezuzahs came for $10 a piece. Tell me what you think about it. Pass it around. $10 a piece. That's right. They were photocopied on paper, and the store sold it to people for $10 a piece. People thought they were getting a bargain. What? And what are they worth? That's exactly right. They don't do anything. It's not worth anything. Okay? So you have to, and mezuzah, in order to be kosher, and here, these are some kosher mezuzahs that you want to show. In order for it to be kosher, you have to, it has to be properly written. You can't have it written improperly. It's just, I just photocopied it. But they were kosher when they were on parchment. By the way, a divorce, a get, does not have to be written on parchment. We write it on parchment paper so it holds the ink together. But it doesn't.
If it's photocopied,
Yes.
is it better to have one photocopied than none?
Well, you see, you're asking an unusual question. The short answer is no. In order for it to be kosher, it has to be written properly. But let me tell you a story. So I want to answer you appropriately. In Torah Academy in the 1990s, when I had the high school, there was an unusual girl who came to me and she brought me a mezuzah, and the mezuzah was handwritten on a piece of paper. And she asked me to check the mezuzah out, is it kosher? Now, I felt terrible because it was handwritten on paper. It was no way it was kosher. And, and she was a very sincere girl, very, very sincere. I didn't know how to tell her. So I said to her, where did you get this mezuzah? So she said to me, her teacher gave a class about mezuzah and how important it was. And her family is very poor. They just came from Russia. She can't afford a mezuzah. So she wrote it herself. She copied it from her sitter.
Wow.
So I said to her, that's probably the most kosher mezuzah I've ever seen. I'll get you a different mezuzah, I said. It'll take me a few days. But in the meantime, put this back on your bedroom door. So another rabbi might have said a different answer and would have broken her heart. But I said what you said. Somehow your thinking and my thinking were in line. And I gave the impression that this was the most kosher mezuzah I've ever seen. And the truth is, it was. You know how long it must have taken her, this girl from Russia, to copy from the sitter? It probably took her forever. Here is a mezuzah, very nice mezuzah. Tell me why it's not kosher. The rip is the reason. When the rabbi was taking it out of the packaging, he used the knife because many mezuzahs are wrapped. And the knife cut through the mezuzah. And a mezuzah cannot be cut through. So here he had a beautiful mezuzah, probably cost $80, 100% kosher, now has a rip in it, and that rip makes the mezuzah no longer kosher. So, there's certain liabilities and certain things you have to do very carefully. And you can pass that around so people can see that, sometimes you can make a mistake and it becomes not kosher. Okay, so what have we accomplished so far? Let's figure this out. We talked about a Sefer Torah. We talked about a mezuzah. We talked about how it has to be properly written, very carefully written. It has to be written where the letters are properly formed from start to finish. And it has to be written in a way that every letter, every word is there, and certain letters have crowns. We talked about how it equals 600,000 because the letters have different sizes to it. Let's talk about tefillin for a moment. How many compartments are there in tefillin? In the shel rosh, there is 4. That is correct. In the shel yad, 1. In the shel yad, it's one long parchment, 7 lines. There are 4 sections to it. Kadesh, v'hoya im shamoa. Well, actually, no. Kadesh, v'hoya ki v'yecha, shema, v'hoya im shamoa. In the head tefillin, there are 4 compartments. And each section has 4 lines. The cloth, the parchment where the tefillin is written, after it's written, it's folded. It's wrapped in parchment, like a package. It's tied with cow's hair, and it's put into your tefillin. Have you ever seen your tefillin open to look inside? Okay. Let's see what we can show you tonight. This is a head tefillin in the process of being made that was made invalid. You can have it. Pass it around. This is the same head tefillin that got really messed up, and this is a hand one that got messed up. Pass it around. The rest of you guys, don't be bashful. Come on up. I got something for everybody. It's made from parchment, from animals. This is a hand one open where you can see inside. This is a hand one inside that you can look at. The boxes are also made from parchment, leather. This is the head. Here, this is the head. Here you can see the hand one that's still closed, but if you look, it's so thin, you can see inside. Here's the hand one by itself. Here's the head one, where you can see the parchments all wrapped up inside. Now I'm going to show you what those parchments look like. These are finished products. Here's empty. Okay? But now, let's look at what some of those are. Let's see what we got here. You ready? Here's one for you to look at. Pass it around.
Leo, come here. Come.
Here. This is one of the parchments that are inside. Which parchment is this?
This is the first part, isn't it?
This is Shema. This goes in slot number 3. Yep. It's Kadesh, V'hoya ki v'yecha, Shema, V'hoya im Shemoah. This is the hand one. And it only has, you can see, has some of the hand ones on it. It's all in one piece. This is...
You also write this?
Yes, all the time.
You know, Rabbi, I actually wanted to be a sofer when I was in high school.
And what stopped you?
This is not top, right?
This is cloth, sure. Yeah, it's not very expensive cloth.
It looks like paint.
It is. This is a hand one because there's only 4 lines. It's one of the 4 that go in. Some are nicer than others. Some are written better than others. Yeah. The boxes were not kosher, so I took them out of the boxes. But I mean here, this is one that's a hand one. You should look at this. It's really very nice. Hold it out. You can see Kadesh, V'hoya ki v'yecha, Shema, V'hoya im Shemoah. It's 7 lines. It's the hand one. It's 7 lines. It fits inside one of these larger ones, but that's well
Why is
written.
the box so important if the content is more important?
So that is what I told you is halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Now I'm going to show you something that I discovered by mistake, by accident. You ready? You see this? Look at this. What is that? Beit HaMikdash, right? It's a laser lithogram Beit HaMikdash a woman gave to me from a get. I had it on the table, and I walked by. You're Hashem looking down. What does it look to you like? When you put your tefillin on your head, it's like you're wearing a miniature Beit HaMikdash. Look at that. From Shamayim, when Hashem looks down at you, when you're wearing your tefillin, what do you have on your head? A Beit HaMikdash. Yeah, it almost looks like a miniature Beit HaMikdash. I never knew that. I've never seen it written anywhere. It just so happened I had it on the desk. I walked by and I said, "Hey, that's our Beit HaMikdash." It's as if it's on my forehead. It didn't. I never signed it. Yeah. Ready for small? Your question is great. A guy from Egypt brought me this. This was a tefillin he wore his whole life.
Oh my God, look at that.
You talk about small. I never opened them up. I'm afraid to see whether there's comic strips inside or parchment inside. Shel Rosh, Shel Yad.
How small it needs to be to put it in there?
I never knew until Japanese people could make microchips doing millions of things smaller than this.
Where is that from?
No.
Wow, but we back in the days, we didn't have any. Yeah, but microchip, you don't put it.
And yet, I have no idea.
They didn't
But
you see
they
how
did.
they write on the rice. Have you seen that?
They write, they can do.
Yeah, on the rice. You can write like a type poem.
This tefillin is the smallest pair of tefillin in the world. Sure.
Do that.
I told you today was a guy from Egypt brought it to me, an older man.
They still do that now.
Here, Kaddish Liko Buchor is a very nice, very well written. This is very nicely written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do rabbis most of the time have smaller tefillin? Like, what's the reason that they try to get the smallest one?
I don't know if it's smaller, it's just more convenient. It used to be that they would wear at the same time Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. So that's why they wore it smaller. So my tefillin are not small. I had a very cheap pair of tefillin. I have a pair of tefillin like that when I was bar mitzvah. Actually, more like that. When I got married, my father-in-law said, "It's about time I got you a regular pair of tefillin." I got a nicer pair.
They bought me a film from Israel a long time ago. For some reason, Chabadnik rabbi was very friendly with one of here, not too far away from here. Says to me, Leon, I want to inspect your film.
Right?
I said, no, it's okay, Rabbi. They opened it up, Rabbi, completely printed, not written down. So they got me another one. I have a brand new one. Completely printed, not
And
even
some people,
like this.
Bryks.
Rabbi Bryks.
Yes. And some people go through their whole life never checking their tefillin,
Exactly.
and they never fulfill the mitzvah.
How many years do you need?
So the Gemara says you should do it like once every 7 years. Most rabbis, and I'm a part of them, will say don't touch it. If you knew it was kosher, leave it alone. Unless they got wet or they got in a heat, because every time you cut this box open and you stretch it and you pull these parchments out and you stretch it, the chance of them being not kosher increases by 50%. Leave it alone. Don't even do it. I check mezuzahs all the time. Just in case you left them in the car on a hot day and you were afraid that it got damaged because of the heat or they got wet. Otherwise, I would say to you, just, if you have brand new, I would tell you, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Don't check it. Because if you cut them open and you have to, you're just looking for trouble. Mezuzah, yeah, mezuzah is encouraged, and people bring me mezuzahs all the time, and I don't charge for checking because I don't believe in charging. I have this philosophy.
Mezuzah at once, right? You should not stop.
That's right.
Let me ask you a question. I leave my tefillin in the car all year round because I go to shacharit in the morning.
Right. In the trunk.
No, in the back seat. But it's in a bag.
In the bag.
It's in a bag, and then it's also in another.
Does it ever get so hot that you're concerned about it?
Honestly, to be honest, I never even thought about it until you told me right now.
Okay. Well, you should always be honest, and you shouldn't necessarily. Okay. As long as you're not concerned, you're fine. But this is fascinating. Okay, next. What else is written by a sofer? We said Megillat Esther, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice lecture. Come.
Here you go. Stick it in over there. No, here.
Rabbi, which material is this?
This is hide. This is skin.
Oh, this is skin.
This is really a cow skin. And in order to shape it, they have machines that make it extremely hot. I've gone to the factories where they make it, and that's why I picked these up, because these were no longer good and they couldn't salvage it. So I said, we're going to throw it out. I said, could I have it? They said, sure. But the truth of the matter is,
These come pre-formed to the rabbi.
yeah, sure, they come pre-formed to, it's called the batim macher, the person who makes the boxes. These are thin, which are not such quality. You want to see? Sure.
Rabbi, Can a person supply a goy with a mezuzah that wants it?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
And this week I saw a whole thing that if you have someone in your office, a non-Jew who's sick, and you want to say Tehillim and daven to Hashem, you can do that also. You can say Tehillim for a
You can
non-Jew.
put it yourself, or you want a Jew to put it in?
You should put it yourself, but only if it will stay guarded. I mean, if you think the non-Jew is going to paint over it and just throw it out at one day, then don't do it. Put in a printed one.
Well, let me ask you, what about, let me ask you a question though. It says, one of my rabbis told me that you're not allowed to speak a goy Jewish ways. Because you're kind of like, you're promoting goys to following the ways of a Jew without the proper knowledge that they should have before they follow our values,
A mezuzah, these little things, is not enough to violate that law. You know, we had even more complicated questions. When I was out west, we would give classes, schools. There was always kids in the class that were born to mothers who converted Reform or conservative. So they're not Jewish. And yet you're teaching Torah to them in the class. So Torah Masorah asked me to write up a position paper, which I did, which I had to present to Ramosha Feinstein and Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, where I said if the teacher's teaching the whole class and they're not teaching individuals, it's allowed. Yes. And even Ramosha wrote it in a tshuva where he said that when you have children, see, the fascinating thing about children, a 5-year-old who was born to a woman who has had a conservative reform conversion, you can have the child reconverted, Orthodox. At 5, they don't have to say they're going to keep Torah and mitzvahs. It's b'schut. And then when they turn 13, they have to make a decision. I want to be Jewish, I don't want to be Jewish. And if they say, I want to be Jewish, even if they don't keep Torah and mitzvahs, they're still considered Jewish. So you can solve the problem. If there is a kid whose last name now is Rabinowitz or Cohen or Levy, and the father is Jewish and the mother is not, you can convert the child when he's 5 or 6. Don't wait till the child is older, and you can solve the problem. Okay, Megillat Esther. You ready? Go for it. Now, a Megillat Esther, different sizes. This is a Vilna Gaon size. I think it's 21. Igor, come on this side. Stretch it out. Be careful, because I wrote this myself, so it's precious to me. Yes, this is my handwriting. And this is what I use. And since I read for it every Purim, and in my daughter's house, she already called it. After 120, she wants this for her kids. That's the 10 children of Haman. Okay?
Really nice.
So it's a Megillat Esther. Other shuls sometimes have all the Megillot, but you don't necessarily have to. A Megillat Esther you do. Okay, you can roll it back up carefully. You're holding my life in your hand. Oh, 1 second, I see this guy sweating. I got him nervous.
When the rabbi reads the Megillah, it has to be the original one, or it could be a printed one?
Not printed. When you make the bracha, it has to be the original. Correct. Now, sometimes if it's a big shul and you don't hear and you have a copy in front of you, so yeah, you can read along with the rabbi and you miss a word, but you read it from the Chumash, you're fine. I have sons, and my sons wanted their own Megillah, so I got them their own Megillahs. It was on their bucket list.
How long it took you to write it?
It took about a year. It doesn't necessarily have to take that long. But I was in yeshiva. I was young. And at night, sometimes 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, before I would go to sleep, I would unwind a little bit. I would write this. So
You can do it in one day also, right?
yeah, it's hard, but you could, yeah. People write a Torah in a year. But, the reason why you have to be a little bit more careful with the Megillat Esther is because kids who are starting out, this is what they write first. And usually they miss words and miss letters. and it's sloppy because they're doing it for practice. Why do they practice on the Megillat Esther? Because it's the one book that doesn't have Hashem's name in it. So they're not going to practice on the mezuzah. Hashem's name is in there. Tefillin has Hashem's name. A Torah has Hashem's name. Megillat Esther, God's name is not in there. So novices, people who are starting out, write Megillat Esther. So when you buy a Megillat Esther, and it can cost $1,500, $2,000, I would tell you before you buy it, show it to someone just to see whether all the words are there. Now, according to halacha, if half the words are missing, it's still a kosher Megillah. So if I missed a word or two, I could still make a bracha and read from this Megillah on Purim.
It's a story. It's not the.
That's right. It's not a Torah. I get called every week from shuls. Their Torah is puzzled. Can I come by? Can I fix it? I had it recently on Simchas Torah. The guy did Hagba, stretched it, didn't realize his strength, and the parchment ripped from the holder, from the Eitz Chaim. And he brought it to me. I had to re-sew the whole thing back together again. And for that, you use special vein called sinew. It's the muscles of the cow, and you have to have special thread. It's not thread; it's muscle from the cow, and you have to do it that way in order to be able to do it properly. So, to recap, we have our sofer. He is writing. He's very carefully writing everything. I made here pictures of stuff. I brought a ksuva, although ksuva, and I brought a get in English, but those things don't have to be written by a sofer, but the lettering has to be perfect. And, a Megillah, different amount of lines. Tefillin, we know the head has 7 lines. The head has 4 lines. The hand has 7 lines. Now, it's interesting. There are 5 senses to the human body. 4 on the head. Sight, smell, hearing, taste. Therefore, the head tefillin has 4 compartments. This is touch, only 1 sense. So the hand tefillin has 1 compartment. When you look at the knotting of the tefillin, I do the knotting. In the back is a shin, or actually the back is a dalet. On the head is a shin, and on the hand is the letter yud. Shin, dalet, yud. Hashem's name. The shin on the head has how many heads to it? 4 heads or 5? So, let's go check. How many? A normal shin has 3 heads. What does a tefillin? Let's see if we can pull one out. You tell me. Report to the crowd.
Yeah, 3 and 4. 7 total.
One side has 3
And one side is 4.
and one side has 4. Why is one side 3 and one side 4?
Yeah, I learned this one a little bit.
And what's the answer? You see, that's, in the eyes of the Gemara, that's worse. Having not learned it is one thing, but to say you learned it and you forgot it, the answer is 3 for Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov.
Oh,
4, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. And that's wild when you think of the fact that your tefillin has 4 heads for the mothers, even though women don't wear tefillin. But a Jew has always included in many of the religious observances the fathers and the mothers, the avos and the imahos. And it's something that is really unique. How are we doing? 9:30, so we're just doing fine. We're not over the limit yet. Okay, one other thought I want to share with you, just since you talked about the fathers and the mothers. Okay, when I once told this to you, I might remind you, and I'll tell it to you again probably in a few weeks. When we bless our children, Friday night is the custom to bless children. Do Bukharian people bless their children Friday nights? Yeah. Okay. And just out of curiosity, when you bless your children, after the father gives a blessing to the kids, do you kiss your father's hand? Ashkenazim do that as well. Do you kiss your mother's hand?
Technically, you're supposed to.
Yeah, we do. Ashkenazim children, or my grandchildren, if I give them a bracha Friday night, they'll kiss my hand and they'll go to my wife and they'll kiss her.
Is a mother allowed to bless the kids?
Yes, I would say anyone is allowed to bless the kids.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's an interesting question. A lot of these questions that you ask me, I can give you halachic situations. I'll give you an example, and then I'll get back to what I was going to say. But just to answer your question, there was a fellow who had cancer, and God forbid, it shouldn't happen. And he went to the Rosh Yeshiva Bayasov in Kew Garden, Shara Torah, Rabbi Bryks Epstein. And he said, should I tell people that they should daven for me? So Rabbi Bryks Epstein said, tell only 10 people. A million should daven for you. He says, why shouldn't I tell more? Fascinating answer. He says, if you tell too many people, you want God to cure you, it's like a big miracle. God does not do big miracles. So you have to keep it quiet. So it's not a big miracle. Then he asked, should I tell my father and mother? And he said, you must tell your father and mother. He said, why? My parents are older. I don't want to pain them. And he said, no one davens for a child like a father and mother. So when you ask a question, should I get a bracha for my mother? The answer is no one gives out brachos like a mother. No. There's just no way to compare the brachos of a mother. No way. They're invaluable. Okay. When we bless our children, we say, Yesimcha Elokim K'Ephraim V'Menashe. Now, I happen to like that bracha very much because my first name is Ephraim. So when someone says Yesimcha Elokim K'Ephraim V'Menashe, I say to myself, sounds good to me. I like that. I can take that to the bank. Okay. When we bless girls, what do we say? God should make you. What do we say for girls? Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. Makes sense. They're the mothers. Raises the question, if we're saying to the girls, you should be like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. To the boys, we should say, Yesimcha Elokim ki Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So why don't we? The short answer is because the Torah says in Parashat Vayeira that Yaakov said to Yosef, this is how you bless children. Yesimcha Elokim ki Ephraim Menashe. The Torah says so. Okay. Some people say Ephraim and Menashe grew up in Galut and remained religious. That's the bracha. Some people say Ephraim was greater than Menashe. Their brothers were not jealous of each other. That's the bracha, not to be jealous. Okay. There was a Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Weinberg. He said to me, I'm going to give you a modern day answer. Listen to this answer. Fascinating answer. You got to listen to this answer. Avraham marries Sarah. They have a son, Yitzchak. Scientifically, Yitzchak has the DNA of Avraham and Sarah. Got it? Yitzchak marries Rivka, Yaakov. Yaakov has the DNA of Avraham, Yitzchak, Sarah, Rivka. Yaakov marries Rachel, has Yosef. Yosef has the DNA of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel. Who's missing? Leah. Yosef marries Osnat, the daughter of Dinah, the daughter of Leah. They have Ephraim and Menashe. Ephraim and Menashe are the only children that have the DNA of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. When you say to your kid, you should be like Ephraim and Menashe, you're really saying you should be like Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, so Rivka, Rachel, Leah. You're saying all 7. And he said that I would say the same bracha to the girls. Because when I say to the girls, only be like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, I'm shortchanging them, the fathers. And Tefillin teaches us that when you put Tefillin on your head, 3, 4, the fathers and the mothers, all 7, included in your bracha.
Now, let me ask you a question. Is there a reason that the shin with that has 4 heads is on the left side and the shin with 3 is on the right side?
Other than right and left? No, I'm not sure why. You were going to say something.
Yeah. What about DNA of Esav and Ishmael?
We don't count them.
Not in there, but still, it's there, right?
It's there. And we got to remember, and this is something that is interesting that you bring up, there is evil in the world. And Jews, as much as we have gone through purification rituals, we have not eradicated those evils. I had a situation tonight which I find painful. I got a phone call from a father about a young lady who's in a seminary in Israel, and the seminary threw her out. And when we called, why did they ask her to leave? The seminary said that a parent applied to the seminary and then called us and said, we're not going to send our child to your seminary because you have a girl in your seminary who a year ago made a TikTok video that was not sneistic. Now, this girl in the seminary who made this TikTok video a year ago, and the family found out and they erased it, is still on the internet. Somehow someone found it. And the school threw her out today because she made a TikTok video a year ago. And my wife is furious. And I was trying to console the family. Now we have to find a new seminary for this girl. And my wife reminded me tonight at the dinner. She said to me, you have said many times, there are people in education that will be better off flipping burgers in McDonald's. They don't belong in the field of education because they're not helping children, they're destroying lives. And I say that all the time. And I say this to you. Yes, we have a glorious heritage. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. That's true. But there are Jews who go around and they'll shake at Shmona Esrei and they'll say Shema with all their koach. And they have what I think is an overdose of DNA of Yishmael and Esau. And they are heartless and cruel and they are destroying lives. And they'd be better off in any other line of work, but not education. So when you say, what about these other strains within our DNA? My answer to you is, bang on, you hit the nail on the head. We always constantly have to work on improving ourselves. But I'm
not Eric Rob, right?
Different story. But I'm telling you, and we've had this conversation. Igor and I have had this conversation over the years, and anybody who's known me said many times, there are people in the educational field that are great, but there are a few of them that don't belong.
But you cannot give up on them, no?
I never give up. We're going to try to find another seminary for this girl, and I'm working very hard at doing that. And it's a lesson to learn that something you did on TikTok a year ago, thinking that you could erase it, when it's on that internet, you can't erase it. And it just can come back to bite you. And we need to teach our young children this as they're growing up. So tonight you learned what we call hands-on Judaism, show and tell. You saw mezuzahs, you saw Megillah, you saw tefillin, you saw parchment, you saw letters, you saw the feathered pen. Maybe one day I'll bring you in all a piece of parchment and a feathered pen, and let's see how well you write.
You cause yourself a problem, Rabbi. Now we're all going to bring our film, our Megillah, and our mezuzah for you to check it for us. Because you're making us insecure now.
Oh, well, that's
I gotta check
the
everything.
tefillin I told you don't touch. Mezuzahs be my pleasure. You'll have to then wrap it back up again. But, as long as you wrap it up and you keep it safe, and as long as you spend some money, they're not cheap anymore. A good pair of tefillin can cost you over $1,000, $1,500, and a good mezuzah can cost you over $100. But as long as they're good and they were proper, and you wrapped it up well, put it on your door, leave it. Don't play with it, because every time you open it up, you saw what happened. They opened it up, the knife cut it, made a puzzle.
I collected a lot of mezuzahs from people who didn't want it. But what I do is I don't check it, but I give it to people who don't believe in it, and I make them believe in it. So I myself put it on for them, and once I put it on, they leave it. So I'm making an avera, right? I should really have it checked.
We'll make a partnership. If you bring it to me at any given time, don't bring me 100, but when I come here, if you bring 10 or 20, I'll gladly check it for you for free.
I'll bring you about 5 to 10.
I'll do it for free.
Thank you.
I don't charge for that service.
I don't charge to put it on anyway for the people.
Okay, so see, I send out a bill, but I forget to put a stamp on the envelope. It never goes.
Give it to my son, my surrogate son.
Okay, now we have competition, because he's also, you see, he's not my surrogate son. If he's a student of mine, then I'm like a father to him.
Oh.
So, that's the halacha. It says that the children of Aaron were considered the children of Moshe.
Well, he told me he loves you anyway.
I love him more.
Beautiful.
So you should just know that. And this you have to edit out of the video. But we won't, the biases, when this guy walks into my home, it's obvious. It's obvious to the whole family what our biases are. And it's not a gift. He earned it. Why? Because he grew. He worked on himself. He grew. So it is well earned and well deserved. And on that note, gentlemen, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.